Hey guys, welcome back. TJ here with Dead History, and welcome back to part 2 of our presidential series, part 6, entitled Andrew Jackson, taking a look at the 7th president of the United States. So I'm going to jump right in here, and I think it would be a little irresponsible of me not to mention the really big black eye on Andrew Jackson's legacy, and that is the Trail of Tears. For those of you that don't know, the Trail of Tears, basically at the beginning of the 1830s, there was nearly 125,000 or so Native Americans that lived on millions of acres of land in Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, North Carolina, and Florida. And, it was land that their ancestors had occupied and cultivated for generations. By the end of the decade of the 1830s, very few natives remained anywhere in the southeastern United States, basically working on behalf of white settlers who wanted to grow cotton on the Indians' land. The federal government forced the Indians to leave their homelands and walk hundreds of miles to a specially designated Indian territory across the Mississippi River. And that journey, that walk, the difficult and deadly journey, is what is known as the Trail of Tears. So, just really sad stuff, to be completely honest with you. It's known as like the Indian Removal Act. State governments basically joined in the effort to drive Native Americans out of the South. Several states passed laws limiting Native American sovereignty and rights and encroaching on their territory. It was really, really bad. And Andrew Jackson, he long had been an advocate of what he actually called Indian removal. He did nothing to stop this or to treat the Indians and the Native Americans fairly. He did nothing. Really the reality is the Trail of Tears happened because Andrew Jackson, as president, he was all for the Indian removal. He didn't stand up and say this is unfair or unjust or mistreating people, and he didn't care. He really thought that white, people had the right to basically take these Native Americans and their land and do whatever they wanted, and basically told the Native Americans, the Indians, hey, hit the road. And literally like thousands and thousands of Native Americans died during this journey. That's why it's called the Trail of Tears. Really, the reality is, I know this is going to sound probably a little harsh, but, Andrew Jackson's really responsible for pretty much, the genocide, so to speak, of the Native Americans as they were known. Just really, really awful stuff. I touched on my past videos, like Thomas Jefferson, who's my favorite president. I touched on his slavery issues and how he was such a hypocrite with slavery. I just can't do a video series and talk about Andrew Jackson without mentioning the Trail of Tears. It would be irresponsible of me. So, for, I guess, all the people that love Andrew Jackson, the reality is he was a crappy person. He really was, And the more I read and the more I learn about Andrew Jackson, to me, he takes a big hit historically, and as far as like great presidents go. I think he was pretty overrated. But that's, I'm not going to get into opinions. That's just kind of my opinion. But all right, so that's the Trail of Tears, the sad, sad story of the Trail of Tears. Now what you're seeing, this is a visit I made. As everybody, I'm sure, knows watching this video, on Christmas morning this year, there was a terrible bomb explosion that went off in Nashville, Tennessee. And these pictures you're seeing of the statue, this is actually outside of the state capitol building in Nashville, Tennessee. So this is a statue of Andrew Jackson right outside the state capitol building. When I visited, I was there in like May or June. So, pretty ironic that obviously this explosion just happened, and I'm just so happened to be doing this video when I visited Nashville. Pretty interesting stuff. So this is all the statue. These are, it's all the same statue, just different angles and that sort of thing. Yeah. So there's really nothing more to it. Now in Nashville, there also is where Hermitage is. It's considered Hermitage, Tennessee, but it's right pretty much in Nashville, right near Nashville. And that is where Andrew Jackson lived. That was his plantation. That's also where he died. And that's also where he was buried and is buried. So funny quick story. The first few photos you're seeing here, you actually see it looks like wide open field and land. Back in like May, when I first went to Tennessee to visit Hermitage, it was closed due to COVID. I didn't know this. When I got there, it was closed. So what I did was I tried to find my way to like sneak around the back of the property, because the back of the property, believe it or not, backs up to like a CVS pharmacy, you know what I mean? Like local public places. So I parked my car at like a CVS pharmacy and I walked across the roadway, and then I walked through some woods, and then I came to what you're seeing, these pictures of these fields and these wide open fields. Now, all there was a tiny little, maybe like shin high electric fence that was, I don't even think it was really electric or turned on. I mean, I could have very easily like just walked right over it. And then if you look now, the picture that you can see a picture. It looks like some things in the distance, some buildings. You see that. And then the next picture now that you're seeing, that red arrow, yes, it's an arrow that I drew, terrible drawing. That's actually the dome. It's almost like a gazebo. That's actually where Andrew Jackson is buried. That's his gravesite right there. So that's how close I got when Hermitage was closed. So I did consider just walking up and going to see the gravesite, but I didn't do it. I didn't trespass and do it. But I did consider it because, but I thought it was kind of a funny story, that I'd show you the pictures from that original visit. So that's that. Now, I did go back, obviously. I think it was back in like June when it did open up to the public. Now, these photos you're seeing here, welcome back. And this is when Hermitage opened back up. And now, the next photos you're seeing, just some of the buildings and that sort of thing at Hermitage. And now what you're seeing is the main house. That's the main house where Andrew Jackson lived there at Hermitage. And what you're seeing, you see like, this beautiful buildings, the beautiful main house. You see the picture like of me with the main house behind me. You see that, really awesome stuff. And then, you're seeing some pictures of me because the building was closed. You couldn't go in, but you see like the dining room and, what looks to be a bedroom. The cool thing about this picture with the bedroom, the wallpaper is actually the original wallpaper, believe it or not, from when Jackson lived there. That's insane to me. It was actually a curator told me they also have, and I don't think you could see it in the pictures, but they actually have a pair of Andrew Jackson slippers, his actual personally owned slippers that he wore. I thought that was unbelievable to me. I just thought that was super, super cool. Anyway, so yeah. So really cool stuff. Now we're going to take a look at right behind the main building at Hermitage is the Jackson Family Cemetery. So you're seeing some pictures here, some of the graves and that sort of thing. Just some signs and some graves that were there. And now you're actually seeing, this was a grave of a man, I think is Mali Alfred. He was actually a servant, a faithful servant of Andrew Jackson's. I believe he was actually one of Jackson's slaves, but he's buried right there. which I thought was really, really neat. And it just kind of was interesting because it was kind of like he was all by himself, like this gravesite. So, I thought that was kind of neat and interesting. So then now you're seeing, there it is, that rotund gazebo-looking kind of monument. That actually is the gravesite and the grave and the tomb of Andrew Jackson. So right there with that kind of funny-looking obelisk monument in the middle of it, that's the tomb of Andrew Jackson. And now you're seeing kind of like, the different, like, as up close as I possibly could get to, like, his gravesite and headstone and that sort of thing. But there it is. You see me with the grave, the tomb in the background. Pretty interesting stuff. That's these pictures that you're seeing. That's Andrew Jackson's gravesite. That's also where his wife is buried, right there with him. Like I said, they didn't have any children of their own, so it's just them two buried here. And other Jackson family members, of course, in the cemetery, and slaves and servants of Jackson's are buried here as well. Just really cool stuff. There's a lot of buildings at Hermitage. It's a beautiful place. It's beautiful grounds, along the same vein of Mount Vernon and, Washington and, of course, Monticello with Jefferson, same type thing. Really cool thing, the fact that I was there twice, once to actually get in and see it, and once, when I thought about getting in to see it. But there you go. That's kind of the life and the legacy of Andrew Jackson, our 7th president of the United States, the $20 bill, as we know. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this. I know these two parts were kind of long, in the 15 to 20 minute range each. I apologize, a little longer than I like to make these videos, but I did break it down into 2 parts for you guys. Next week will be part 7 of our presidential series, and of course we're just going to keep going in order. And even though it's the 7th installment, we're going to be taking a look at the 8th president, Martin Van Buren. So that'll be next week. So stay tuned. I hope everybody had a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. Happy holidays, whatever you celebrate out there. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you guys celebrate. Happy holidays to everybody. And, stay safe, stay healthy. And like I said, please subscribe, leave your comments and questions below. I love the comments. I love answering questions. Let's keep this going. As a matter of fact, I'm going to ask you guys a quick question. Down below in the comments, please tell me. I would like everybody that watches this video to do this. Please. After I'm done with the presidential series, I'm going to probably do the vice presidents after this. However, would you guys like me to do a tier list for presidential grave sites? So basically, after I'm done with the presidential series, I'll do a live video, like a live stream, and I'll grade each gravesite. I'll give it a grade of, A, B, C, D, or F type thing. And I'll go through every presidential gravesite. It'll just be based on my opinion, of course, since I visited almost all of them except for Reagan and Nixon. But who knows? Maybe by the time I do this tier list, I will have visited them. Who knows? It is on my list. So, would you guys like to see that, though? Would that be something you'd be interested in, to kind of see where I grade all the presidential grave sites? Let me know. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks again, guys. Really appreciate all the support. Like I said, stay healthy, stay safe, and stay tuned for next week. Part 7, presidential series, looking at Martin Van Buren. Thanks, guys. Take care now.